Virtually all motorcycle riders are involved at some stage in navigation, and recently we've been sent from Carpuride one of their Apple CarPlay and Android Auto devices that we were very interested in for testing and reviewing. Well, should you buy one of these? The answer is not that simple, but what I hope to do in this video is give you some ideas. First of all, I'm going to go through pros and cons of this type of device and see in particular what the Carpuride ride's like. So taking it out, we took it out actually for a weekend, Saturday, Sunday ride, and just to see how that went. So a bit of feedback on the Carpuride's features. So we'll be looking at the features of this particular device and this type of device altogether. And towards the end, at the end of the video, we'll look at who these are actually for. Is it something that you might be interested in or not? There's lots of different Carpuride models, and in this particular video we are about to use the W70T2BS, which is the BMW specific model. Otherwise, if you don't have a BMW or you don't have a mount or your bike's not compatible, there's plenty of other options with a myriad of features. And one of the things I want to say, I have done some research on these, and it seems that a lot of the things that people were complaining about, a little while ago, a lot of these seem to be fixed. And I'll touch upon that, some of those as we go. Supposedly they're on discount now, and additional to that, like many others, we do have a 30% discount code for those who are interested. Now, I'm not really going to be recommending anything to anyone. It's really what every individual is about. But in the notes, in the description, there will be a 30% discount code for anyone who would like to participate. Now, keeping in mind the Carpuride has standard features. These include Apple CarPlay, Android Auto. That's one of the reasons why you buy these devices. They're waterproof, IP67 waterproof. They've got the touch, which is very, very good in terms of you can have gloves on and still use the touch for the screen. You can put a card in them. Now, who wants to do this? You can watch a video. If the card's got a video on it, you can have a memory card in it. You can have music on the memory card or whatever. The BMW model comes with tyre pressure monitoring, so you can get extra for non-BMW models. You can get tyre pressure monitoring, or it's built into the BMW particular version, and so on. So there's lots of features. These are a pretty feature-rich device. Now, some advantages of these up front are they're easy to use because they do use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, and that might be something that you're already familiar with if you've got that in your car. You get to use all your favorite apps. Those people who just like Google Maps, well, Google Maps might be something you'd buy one of these for because you can use Google Maps. You can use any of your favorite app which has got either a CarPlay or an Android Auto version that goes with it. Now, this is pretty interesting because a lot of adventure riders in particular just like getting GPX files, and so those apps that are often used are also usually, in most cases, available on these devices, well, if via Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Also, if you're comparing between a device such as one of these or in particular the Carpuride, they're cheaper, or a lot cheaper than you would pay for a genuine GPS device like a Garmin, for example. They seem to have more features because they're being developed. There's very, very competitive. And an example of this BMW version is it's an integrated version. It uses the Wonder Wheel as well. It uses the bike speedo. The information from the bike are read, and the actual BMW version also gives you additional screens showing things like your speed on a speedo, for example, or your trip meter or your odometer, etc. So yes, it does. The BMW version has extra options that others don't. The other point is, if you want a model with a 5G card in it, you can actually get that as well. So there's so many different models to choose from. Disadvantages, however, is these CarPlay devices don't have a GPS, so they have to use your phone's GPS. This means that you've got some phone requirements, because if you're going to use your GPS from your phone, you're going to have to charge it. So therefore, you might need to have a quad lock. I already had a quad lock on my bike, so this was no problem at all. So my quad lock has got the vibration damper and the charger built in. So that's a very, very important thing about, yes, you will have to charge your phone, because it's the GPS that this device is going to use. Also, the weathering situation, if you're going to have your phone being exposed on a mount being charged, you have to be conscious of where you're riding. So I guess I'm going to say it didn't worry me. We went out riding on the dirt and I had my phone mounted. It's got the quad lock on it. You can have a dust cover over it, but sometimes some people complain that their phones get hot. We were riding on relatively hot days. That didn't seem to be a problem, but it is something you need to take into consideration. Another important thing is offline maps. Whereas you do on a GPS, you do load your maps onto the GPS device, so it's always got maps. On these, you'll need to make sure that whatever app you're using on your phone has got preloaded maps, because if you go out of signal, then you'll have the GPS telling you where you are, but you won't have a map telling you where you are. So, for example, if you use Gaia will you'll have to download all of your maps. In my example, I use Osmond, and so I download the entire map set for New South Wales. So not a problem. So I've got offline maps. But if you use something like Apple Maps or Google Maps, you'll have to make sure you download the area maps at least, or particular areas, or the whole of New South Wales or whatever state you're in, before you go out where you might go off the grid, for example, where there might be no phone reception. And I'm going to say this, and during the footage you can have a look and see what I mean, but we had the W702BS model. So this is a specific BMW model which is great for me and for other BMW owners, but it's a big device, a 7-inch screen. It's replacing like the 5-inch nav that goes into that spot, and I thought it was sensational. The quality of the screen, the size, fantastic for viewing, but the problem was it's so big. In its standard position, it actually covers over the top part of the TFT, the BMW TFT display. So that might not be a problem for some. That's where I show my amount of petrol remaining, for example, and a couple of other things. So it is something that I do like to see, but it does, the 7-inch version is big, so it covers over the top, unless you could tilt the device up and not cover as much, but then you're going to be changing the angle, and although it's got light protection, it might not work to change the angle. So there is a 5-inch model which may be more appropriate, but I thought the screen was fantastic. So that's just, you get the right size. Bigger might not always be better, but if you're not worried about missing a bit of the screen size below, then it will be fine. A short while back, Tony and I did a few rides to Shellhaven, and on both occasions Tony's nav6, a BMW nav6, failed pretty miserably, and mine did its usual ghosting, as they do, but we really liked the nav6. So it turned out that Vicky from Carpuride sent us a message, pretty timely at that, to see if we were interested in testing one of these Carpuride W702BS, the model that actually goes directly onto the BMW mount and is controllable with the Wonder Wheel. So this sounded a really good idea. Just want to say, in the meantime, Rob from BMW, Wollongong and Macarthur swapped out Tony's failed nav6, and we were really grateful for that. But we still had the issue where mine goes. So let's see what this one goes like. So this is brand new in the box. So I'm gonna take the plastic off and have a look what's inside. So we haven't really done anything with this at all. So it's got all the jargon around the features. Now, one thing about these, they are not a GPS like the particular unit that we've been using, the nav, but they're an Apple CarPlay or an Android Auto device, and that's something that we've been interested in. In fact, a friend who rides a Africa Twin raves about his Apple CarPlay, so that might be an interesting thing. So there it is. And on the mount, on the back, is the BMW mount. So it should just clip straight in. I guess I now need to put it on the bike. The Carpuride has actually got a little screen protector on, so I'll leave that there. And it's got a little protector on the back where it connects to the bike. So I'll just take that off and remove the nav6. And the Carpuride, the exact same connector. Push it in, push the slot across and turn the key, locked in. Okay, let's fire it up. I've seen them where you can have this splash screen changed to a BMW splash screen. So it's connected up, working straight away, not connected with Bluetooth. I'll connect it to my phone. Just see if the, okay, so on the BMW, the Wonder Wheel defaults to the TFT, so it's operating the TFT. If I hold in the menu button, it changes it to the nav, and now this, I should be able to control the Carpuride. There it is there, that's changing the brightness. Yeah, that icon there suggests it's gone from the BMW to the nav for the controls. Okay, I turn the wheel and the volume and the media. Turn the wheel again, so that's changing the volume. What have we got here on the screen? You can see the tyre pressure monitoring is hooked straight into the bike. Look at the speedo, it's still in miles. I have to change the settings to kilometres out of miles. And it's actually a touch screen. The sound is played from the Bluetooth transmission output, okay. And the settings, language, English, yes, that's fine. Restore factory settings, system version, wallpaper, wallpaper 1. I can pull it down. The Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, I should really connect it to the phone. Let's just see what options we've got for wallpaper. I'll just change it to number 3. Okay, and across the top, our other settings is the equalizer for audio and the sound. Okay, I need to be back to Bluetooth, so we should, paired list, there should be nothing on the paired list. It's discoverable. Okay, to pair it, let's just go to the phone and go settings, Bluetooth, and there's the Carpurides come up in the other devices. I will accept that and just see what we get there. Okay, pair, this allow, current connection, okay, connect, and allow, and now they are paired, and the Apple CarPlay is up, and I have 3 text messages. Okay, so it's showing apps that I've got there already, Waze, podcasting, the phone. What other ones do we have here?
Gaia, Google Maps, News, Maps.me, OSMN. Now I'll have to decide exactly what application I want to use as the navigation application, because it has to be something that I've got on my phone. So I'm on the CarPlay screen, and this button here takes us back to the Carpuride menu. The iPlay is actually the CarPlay, and Auto is for Android Auto. So if I go to the Home button at the top here, we get presented with the screen that you would typically ride with, and the Mode button changes it from dark mode to light mode. I'm a bit of a light mode person. And the tyre pressure monitoring, the BMW tyre pressure monitoring doesn't actually kick in until you've started riding for a couple of minutes, or a few seconds at least. So if I change that from bar to PSI, then that'll come up in PSI. To change from miles per hour to kilometers per hour, we can press and hold on the 0 for 5 seconds, and it's gone to kilometers and kilometers per hour. That's good. Note also that my phone is connected to the nav, the Carpuride, but it's also still connected to the bike. So here's where the TFT would show the speed, and my phone and reception down the bottom. So that's a preferable thing that I prefer to do. The other feature that the Carpuride has is this information button, which taps into your bike's, well, again, the tyre pressure, the odometer, the battery, the distance to empty, and the temperature. I don't know that I can change any of these, but PSI, that's good that it says PSI. It's mirroring what I've changed here as well. Now you can change this, so you can go online and you can put on a little memory card, a 32 gig memory card, a picture of your own bike, and that bike can be changed to your own bike there.
So one of the reasons you'd buy one of these Carpurides, because they're a CarPlay or an Android Auto. And so my first part of the testing of this is to look at it on Google Maps, and there's my problem with Google Maps. You put in a waypoint and this will sit there on that screen without the rest of the map until I press done. I want to continue. So a waypoint is a stop point, and you have to make it continue. You can see the map is proceeding, but there's no map or no route to tell me which way it should be going. So if you have a waypoint on a corner, you don't know which way you're going to go until you've continued. It's a nice screen. I've got to say, so far the performance has kept up. There's not been much lag. I've heard about a lot of lag from these devices. So far it seems to be quite good. The rerouting is quite quick. The screen looks very clear and it's very bright, so a good size. It's bigger than the Nav 6 screen, so that's a positive. But the Nav 6 is a proper GPS. So here's another example where the Google Maps wants me to go back to a highway, so it's telling me to take the off-ramp here. Let's just see how quickly the map reroutes itself. It draws the screen. Okay, I've missed that turn off. Obviously this is the maps thing now, and the screen's drawn very quickly, so that's pretty good. So here's the Apple Maps screen, very clean. Again, there's lots of information on the screen as well, but you can see the map quite clearly. The third program I'm looking at is Waze. A lot of people prefer to use Waze, so this is a big advantage of using a CarPlay system. So Waze seems to perform quite well, so I'm going to sort of just hit the dirt later on today and use some other applications which should be more applicable to a lot of people who use adventure riding. But yeah, just the flexibility. These programs are very simple to use, and I've got to say the performance seems to be quite good at the moment. If you haven't got a BMW, well you just get a different model. This one's specifically for a BMW, but I can use the Wonder Wheel to change back to the map menu, and from here I can go back. For example, if I want to go back to this main screen that the Carpuride works with, and it's got the speedo, which was synced up, tyre pressure down on the bottom right, temperature, so it's got a few things showing there. Osman app running now. This requires a subscription to be able to use CarPlay, so I loaded a GPX file using the nav software, the Basecamp software that Tony uses to create the BMW Navigator maps with. The reason why I'm running this software is because to do such a complex ride with heaps of turns, you need waypoints, and you just can't do that with Google Maps. Well, you can, for example, but you've got to keep on continuing those waypoints. For Apple Maps, you don't have to continue the waypoints, but the disadvantage with that is you can't save the map. You'd have to do it all just before you leave, so that's far too much work. So you've got to move to one of these Gaia, or one of these type programs. I'm using Osmond.
In 400 meters, turn left onto Park Road. Turn left onto Park Road.
We just watched the Carpuride reroute here. Getting windy. Oh yeah, I nearly blew over.
Head east on Park Road. In 100 meters, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto Kulgoa Road. In 600 meters, at the roundabout, take the first exit onto Campbell Street.
We're just out so you can hear what the CarPlay sounds like. It should be coming out through the GoPro's microphone. We'll get it to reroute again here.
In 200 meters, turn right onto Franklin Avenue. Head north on Carrington Street towards Lawrence Street. In 400 meters, turn left onto Farrell Road.
So it's important to note, I've got my phone here on a quad lock, and the quad lock's got a damper, a suspension damper. It's a must to have. It takes out any possible issues that you could have with vibration or bumps, camera issues that once upon a time were reported. Yeah, it's been a nice day all day, but sunny, warm, 26-ish degrees. A lot of people will be down at the beach, but yeah, here's Bulli Beach. All CarPlay voices and all the navigation programs that I've tried are all using this same voice, which I think is quite good, so that's good to see.
In 300 meters, turn left onto Park Road.
I'm
nice CarPlay features is that it lets you customize the actual apps you see for every CarPlay device. So for the Carpuride, I've just set a few such that the navigation applications that I might use for on the bike would all be on this front screen.
Strangely, I note when I leave the CarPlay interface here and go back to the device interface, it comes up with an audio out error where there's two channels where the audio can actually go out. Even though we do know, and you could hear, the audio actually works.
Now from this main screen, I'm able to go back to the speedo display. Now this is actually, I think, only on BMWs, where it's physically hooking to the actual speedo and the other aspects of the bike, like the front and rear tyre pressures, etc. But the point is, here you can see the trip meters, the odometer. The point is that it's actually the speedo that the bike is displaying, not the GPS speed that you actually are doing. Interesting that the fuel levels on the bottom right hand corner don't seem to be displaying.
If you're a phone user and you've got your phone mounted on the bike, then this would be good for you, because the screen is, well, can be much bigger than a phone. You could not sacrifice an expensive phone, and some people have a cheaper phone that they use for a phone mount for this type of work. So therefore, that would be a perfect case. But the experience on that device and the CarPlay or Android Auto is a very, very good experience for the navigation. So phone users, whether you're on-road, off-road, dirt ride, definitely a great example that one of these would be for you if you typically use a phone to do your navigation. Road riders, well, I say yes, because road riders are not going to have to worry about the exposure of the dust and the weather so much. So road riders would be a good example. And road riders might typically use less complex apps like the likes of Gaia or Osmond, for example, which can be a little bit complex. They might be, maybe, I'm not stereotyping here, but maybe use apps like Google Maps or Google My Maps. We're big believers in using Google My Maps to do mapping, and you can then pick up your maps using Google Maps. Those who don't like the complexity of a nav, for example, I know lots of people who have a BMW Nav 5 or a Nav 6 and they've never gone into Basecamp and then created their maps and downloaded them and loaded them up, and that, you know, it's a pretty complex application, and a lot of people actually don't use the device like that. They just key in somewhere to go, a location, and then ride to it, but might not even ride that particular route. So someone who doesn't like the complexity of something where you've got to use a product like Basecamp. And BMW users, yeah, well, exactly the same. If you're on a budget, it's $1,300 odd for a BMW Nav of sort, and these I'm pretty sure are currently going for about $650, and then if you use the 30% discount, you're up for about $460. So roughly like that. But BMW's users who don't like Basecamp or don't have a nav, these might be the perfect solution because they're not that expensive and they will get the job done. Would I buy one of these? Well, I haven't tested any other CarPlay devices, and I've used Apple CarPlay, so I can't compare to others. I do think it's a good device, and I do think that it will do the job for a CarPlay user. I'm a bit of a Nav 6, a BMW Nav 6 fan, and it has features that we really use. And so whilst mine is still working, I think most of the time I'll continue to use the Nav 6. However, this seems like a really simple solution to just, whenever the case may be, where we haven't done the mapping, we haven't got into Basecamp and done the mapping, throw this on the bike and it'll work straight away, because we do all our pre-mapping in Google My Maps, and that means that those maps are available in Google Maps, and away you go. Please leave us any comments you've got. Don't be too harsh, and just remember, if you're interested, there is a 30% discount code in the description.